Yeah, I've been here and ready for about 6 minutes. What's up, everybody? Welcome to GoJo and Golic. I'm Jesse Cofield. We have quite a show coming your way. I've been standing here for about 6 minutes getting ready for you guys. Here's what we have to look forward to. It is award season, baby. We got the Golden Golics coming up. Should host this at a Chili's next year, boys. Not an ad, but could be. Then Choose Your Fighter, inspired by Mina Kimes. We're going to be picking dudes blindly. That's going to be really fun. And then Championship Weekend. We're going to cap off Wimbledon, Copa America, and the Euros. Look ahead to all that and more coming up on today's show.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to GoJo and Golic. Mike Golic Jr. and Mike Golic Sr. out here at the Edgewood Resort in South Lake Tahoe, site of the American Century Championship. Jesse Cofield, as always, holding it down in the DraftKings studio in Boston, standing all her life eternally in front of that screen here. We got a great show for everybody today. As always, make sure you download, subscribe, rate, review us, leave us a 5-star rating, and check us out live Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern on the DraftKings Network. Heather Dinich, ESPN college football reporter extraordinaire, going to join us at 9 o'clock on the show today as we are coming off Big 12 Media Days, where we've got plenty more comments from someone with the last name Sanders over there, since it seems like that was what we were all waiting for, and asking you shall receive. We've also got Big 10 and SEC Media Days coming up on that front, so going to be very exciting. But, Dad, it's game day for you. Before we get to any of the rest of that here, it is game day for you. Your tee time is when today, as you are getting ready for the second year in a row to go out here and try and golf better than a bunch of other celebrities and former athletes here at South Lake Tahoe.
And really the competition is between me and myself, because I sucked so bad last year in my first encounter here that my biggest thing is to have the biggest improvement. So I'm golfing at 9:37 a.m. local time here in Lake Tahoe. Where I will be golfing today with Nate Bargatze, the comedian, and Rob Riggle is in my threesome as well.
Okay, so last year you started off, it was Ray Romano and Mike Vrabel.
Yes.
So this year they just decided some is great, more is better. We're going to give you full comedic exercise here.
I'm just going to walk up to the first tee, and I've known both these guys. I'm just going to say, make me laugh, guys. Make me laugh.
Make me a bicycle clown.
Yeah.
Rob Riggle, fresh off hosting last night's karaoke contest. So every year at this, on Thursday night before the round kicks off Friday, there's a pro-am that goes on Thursday. And then there's a party for all the players and their families and guests that come out here right by the water, right next to where the golf's going to tee off. And every year for a while now, you've only been coming here 2 years, which means we've only been coming here 2 years. But there has been a robust history of a celebrity karaoke competition that goes on. And there are usually some quality contestants here. But last night ended up all being about one person. And it was one person that neither of us saw. Because both of us got up yesterday at 4 a.m. to do this show. Both of us knew we were getting up at 4 a.m. again to do this show. And we were tired. You went to bed, probably 8 o'clock?
I think about 8:30, I was snuggled away, yes.
I went to bed at about 9 o'clock, and I had gotten to watch, our buddy Catherine Tappan over at NBC, do a little Shania Twain, got the crowd going there. There were plenty of quality performers. But a man who has plenty of these awards on his mantle and has had a banner year in general, Travis Kelce swoops in at the last second. Now, he had been late. I think they had kind of pushed back the start of the karaoke contest to accommodate Travis coming over. And so I left at like 9 o'clock. It was dark. They had already gone through probably 7 or 8 karaoke contestants. And I thought, surely there's no way he's going to make it at this point. He's got so many obligations. And I wake up this morning and I see the video of Travis Kelce on stage with Rob Riggle taking back the award. Alfonso Rivero from last year won last year. And took it away from Travis, who was on like a 3-year streak. He wins it and immediately says, "Taylor, this is for you." So we missed the magic moment last night.
It was because we were sitting there last night and my wife, Chris, looked at me and said, "Don't they usually start it by now?" And then we realized that we had found out they were basically kind of waiting as long as they could on Travis, who had other engagements. So it wasn't showing. He showed up a little bit late last night. And it's a fun event. And it's something I know you guys give me crap about both the times because I love to karaoke, but I'm hesitant to karaoke at this one because just about all the karaoke songs are fast moving. They get going.
I'll tell you, last night there were like 3 or 4 true slow songs in there. Brandon High Looking Glass would have been a welcome respite from some of these performances here. And again, knowing you will like to perform. You're into the aspect of it where you want to get the crowd involved and you're going to go up there and gesticulate and do all that. And people would love that. So I really think you missed the boat by not throwing your hat.
Well, if I get the invite next year, you know what? I will do it then. I will do it. If you said there were a few, so I don't remember there being them there last year. And people like, as you mentioned, Catherine Tappan, Ray Romano goes up and sings. And you do get actual entertainers. Jake Owen goes up and usually sings. Jack Wagner will come up and sing. They don't count. They're not allowed to win the award.
Jack Wagner went up and sang his own song last night. That should be illegal. Well, if you're going to go up there, you should at least have to sing somebody else's song.
Yeah, that is true. And they're ineligible to win. Obviously, they can't go up and win that. But I'll do that because that was always my fear. If people are rocking up there and I go up there and start jamming Brandy, because unless I got another song. Now, when I did sing on stage at Darius Rucker's concert, I did sing Take It Easy by the Eagles. Now it's not like that's a rocking song either.
No, but I think they're both bops. Like, Jesse,
and I think people know them, right?
Enough people know those.
Yeah.
And it might not be like driving rock songs, but they're definitely bops.
But you didn't feel the need to get up there last night, Senior? Come on.
No, like I said, Jesse, when I saw it last year, I watched it. There were a lot of fast moving, everybody is kind of going type of situations. And I thought if I go up there, I thought I would be bringing it down by, singing, all of a sudden slowing it down. There's a port on a western bay. So if I start doing that, I thought, I don't know if that's going to bring people down or whatever.
That song wouldn't pair well with a Lake Tahoe sunset. You can't even get the words you're saying right now.
All right. I will jump into it next year.
Do you have to submit beforehand? Like,
yes.
Okay. You can't just be like, the music's moving me.
Well, no, here's why. Because there's a band that, normally karaoke, it's a machine and that they play that the machine plays the music or whatever. There's a band up here. I think it's called Next Generation. I think it is. And in it is someone from Rascal Flatts and Chicago as well. So they have a band and they play the song. So that's why they want them submitted early so they know the songs that they're going to play. So I'll have to do that. I will. I'll do that now.
Yeah. So we got to get you involved in that because it's a great part of the event out here. It's all a great event. It's fun to see all the different people here. And last night's kind of where all the
real quick. I'm sorry. It's Jay DeMarcus from Rascal Flatts. I just wanted to give the name out there. It's my fault for not spitting it out right away.
But overall, it's a great event here. You get to see all these celebrities and athletes and entertainers dressed down. Can I say the biggest surprise so far early in the weekend? Joe Flacco is an absolute unit. We saw Joe Flacco at the pool yesterday, and Pretty Boy Joe's been doing his thing in the league for a while. Obviously, had the great back half of last season with the Cleveland Browns, and you see him play, and he looks like great head of hair, big tall guy, but never looked at him and said, "Oh, this has got to be some muscle-bound giant." I saw him pop the top off at the pool yesterday, and I said, "Joe, I'm sorry, I was not familiar with your game, so I don't know." We talked about this. The Indianapolis Colts quarterback room.
Biggest room.
An absolute brick house of a room with him and Anthony Richardson.
Anthony Richardson is what? Let's say 250 something. 240, 250? Yeah.
255, he said on McAfee the other day.
Pretty Boy Joe is up there and looking good. So that without question, for your top two quarterbacks is got to be the biggest in the league. You know who else had popped the top and really cut up pretty good? Trevor Lawrence. Looking. Emerson should be very happy with his quarterback.
Yes.
I like that this is what you guys are noticing at the pool. You're like, man, that's a good-looking man.
You know what? I'm cool with that. I'm very comfortable with that. So you know what? That person's putting in the work. And then, of course, there's Jason Kelsey popping the top and looking like a center.
Woo!
A center who has lost considerable weight since retirement and seems to be doing very well. But I mean, Jesse, we make our living in sports judging the bodies of men based on the physical work they put in to see if they can go and get the job done. And that now extends over onto Netflix as well, because yesterday we had the Netflix receiver documentary drop. We had quarterback last year. We had wide receiver this year, which also loosely includes tight ends as well. And so, Jesse, it was interesting to see that drop last night. And we'll get the review here going a little bit.
Yeah, so obviously we'll have a more thorough review once we've had a chance to kind of like dive in and stuff. But Justin Jefferson stopped by the Rich Eisen show to talk about everything. He talked about Kirk Cousins leaving. He talked about his new QBs, and he had some interesting things to say.
Were you surprised Kirk left?
Yeah and no. I always knew, Kirk, was going to do whatever he needs to do for his business wise. And I just knew that, everything just wasn't, the way he wanted it to be here. And especially, just with having to pay me and, having to pay so many other different guys. I feel like he just wanted a new start, a new opportunity to, start with Atlanta and a clean slate. And I'm not mad at him at all for that. I'm grateful for what he has brought to me and, the things that we have accomplished together.
Obviously going to be a big change, you guys. How do you think that Vikings offense is going to look without Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, Dad, it's interesting to think about now. Obviously, we know the succession plan that they've kind of got in place. They brought in and signed Sam Darnold as their veteran option coming over from San Francisco. But then you draft J.J. McCarthy to come be the heir apparent here. And during the course of draft season, convince all of us that getting J.J. McCarthy where you did in the draft was a steal instead of having to trade up for 4 like everyone thought, or God forbid, even 1 like people wanted us to believe. But in the interim, we know for Justin Jefferson, the stat line from last year, over 1,000 yards with 4 different quarterbacks. But I do think this year it will be interesting. If he stays healthy, he's going to eclipse all those numbers, because last year he only played in 10 games, Justin Jefferson. Yeah. But there's no doubt he's going to have to shoulder an even bigger load, because when the offense eventually gets turned over to J.J. McCarthy, and at some point this year it's going to get turned over to J.J. McCarthy, things tend to simplify, and having your number one receiver be as talented as Justin Jefferson means, and we've seen that offense can devolve into ISO ball with him, and it's going to be, I think, even more pronounced with a young player.
Yeah, you look at Minnesota was basically right around in the area of 10 as far as total offense was concerned last year. It's tough to think that's going to happen, right? Without Kirk Cousins, he puts up some good numbers with Sam Darnold, and if then it moves to J.J. McCarthy at some point, they do pick up Aaron Aaron Jones at running back. That was a tough position for them last year after getting rid of Dalvin Cook. So Aaron Jones is there. You still have TJ Hawkinson. We kept talking about the Christian McCaffrey trade and how great it was. Well, TJ's trade was from Detroit. There worked out well as well. But I don't think there's any doubt that offense takes a hit.
It does. I think the rushing attack quietly is going to be something that, if that gets addressed meaningfully, will go a long way in helping to even some of that out, because you mentioned some of the weapons there between Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson. You've got some quality weapons around there.
You do.
It's just going to be a matter of, in a young quarterback, and listen, part of the sell with JJ McCarthy when you looked at him was Kirk Cousins-esque. It was this idea that he would come in the mold of these perfect Shanahan-McVay QBs and be the guy that paints by the numbers the right way and be the guy that goes out there and works within the body of the offense. And so I think when you've got that in mind, it does simplify what you can do with a rookie and makes life a little bit harder on all these guys, which thankfully, again, Justin Jefferson, who's the best player in this documentary, certainly up to the task.
And
Guys,
go
ahead, Senior.
No, I was just going to say quickly with Sam Darnold probably going to start out the year. His first 4 years where he was playing double-digit starts and stuff, you're talking 15, 13, 11, and 13 interceptions in his first 4 years. So he did throw some interceptions.
Yeah, listen, we know what the Sam Darnold experience is at this point. You're going to see some incredible highs and arm candy, and then you're going to see the bunch of lows that ultimately beget JJ McCarthy's beginning of his tenure, Jesse.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say, because SB Nation actually came out with an article with a hot takes prediction here saying that Sam Darnold is going to create a quarterback controversy, that he's going to go out there and be good enough to create some doubters here. Do you think there's any world in which that happens, in which like Sam Darnold's like competing to keep this spot?
It's always an interesting situation because you see it so prevalent in this sport that quarterback A is starting only until quarterback B, i.e. high first round pick, is ready to go, right? Or if the situation dictates, like if the season gets away from Minnesota and JJ McCarthy is doing well enough in practice, they'll insert him to get reps, right? You know, Sam Darnold knows that his time is measured, unless he is all of a sudden an all-pro this year, which I don't think many people expect. But what it does give is guys like Sam Darnold the chance, because he was backing up Purdy, and the only way he was getting in San Francisco is if he got hurt. Had the chance, obviously, in New York and then Carolina. So he's getting a chance now. What these guys do is they know they're auditioning for the other teams out there that show you can play well enough that we know we're putting the first round pick in here. Where can I go when that happens?
Yeah, someone's always going to pick Sam Darnold because someone's always been willing to pick up Sam Darnold, because the same things that were appealing about Sam Darnold coming out of USC years ago are still the same things that are appealing about Sam Darnold now. And the reason those things haven't changed is the reason why he's not been the consistent starter for somebody in a while. So while we take a look at the Vikings situation in particular, Jesse, why don't we look around at the rest of the NFL? We know there's going to be plenty of other receiver news and position look aheads next week on this show, but we get a chance to dive into some of that now.
Yeah, so new opportunities, new season. You got some receivers, a chance to trend upwards here. So let me know if you agree or disagree that we're going to see a step up for these guys from last year. I'm just going to give you all the names here. George Pickens, Terry McLaurin, Jamar Chase, Josh Palmer / Quentin Johnston. Who do we think of this group has the opportunity to be trending upwards?
Well, Dad, I mean, I think the easy one is Jamar Chase, given the fact that Joe Burrow is going to be back healthy. Although Cincinnati and Zach Taylor deserve a lot of credit for the offense they were able to cobble together while he was injured. But George Pickens, to me, is the most interesting one, just because now they're getting an offensive coordinator in Arthur Smith that people have a little bit more confidence in than the Matt Canada experience. And the areas that George Pickens tends to operate well, tightrope acts along the sidelines, are areas where that offense, and certainly the quarterback in Justin Fields, or I should say Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, both tend to operate pretty well. So he's a guy with the ability, and now offensively might be given more of a chance to really pop.
And I've always been a Terry McLaurin fan, but he's even got to be saying, how about the same quarterback for a number of years?
Be nice.
How about some consistency at this position? And that's obviously what they're hoping to get in Jaden Daniels, their pickup this year, to have the job, be the guy, and show some consistency. Because I've always been a fan of his, but he's never had, even that offense has not had any consistency at all. But yeah, Jamar Chase is the easy one there.
Yeah, Jamar Chase is the easy one for trending up there. Jesse, why don't we take a look? You know what, Dad? Why don't we take a look at the guys trending down here as well, potentially here? Some of the names thrown out here: Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, Brandon Ayuk, Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and Cooper Kupp. So these are guys that at any given time, some of these guys were involved in the convo for best wide receiver in the NFL. Are there any of those names you think could take a step back?
I don't think Cooper Kupp. I think Stafford's going to have another big year. You got Puka Nacua. Kupp, if he stays healthy, still love what he does.
I think the thought with Kupp, though, is Puka Nacua starting to ascend to that number one role as later in Kupp's career, that injury bug starts to mount up or the effects of that start to linger a bit.
If he stays healthy, I think he'll have a really good year. Not what we're used to seeing because of Nacua. I agree with that. Keenan Allen for sure, right? I mean, you're going from Justin Herbert to Caleb Williams, a rookie who, we've seen rookies excel, go all the way back to last year, and CJ Stroud, and they have put great weapons. Ryan Poles, the GM at Chicago, has done a really nice job of building around there. So maybe it still would be good, but just on paper, you look at that and you expect that to go down a bit.
Well, I also think with Keenan Allen, it's interesting because for so long it was him and Mike Williams in the Chargers uniform, and Mike Williams was so oft injured that a lot of times Keenan Allen had to shoulder so much of the load in terms of target share. And now Keenan Allen's walking into an offense where DJ Moore's been there as the number one option for that Chicago team, and then also you draft Rome Odunze, who I think has a chance to come in and have an impact really quickly. And so I'll be interested to see who Caleb Williams ends up developing that rapport with.
And then with AJ Brown, I mean, he and Devontae Smith, but still that thought of just hitting Saquon Barkley out of the backfield in open space, that's going to be very, very appealing to Jalen Hurts.
It will. I don't think more appealing than the big-bodied wide receiver who can go over the middle and has the insane catch radius. Like, I still think that wide receiver room is going to be the star of the show in Philadelphia. Coming up next, though, it's summertime, which means it's time to talk shade, positive and negative, next year on GoJo and Golic. Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Mike Golic Jr., Mike Golic Sr., and Jesse Cofield here. And I don't know if you guys heard, it's summertime right now. A little too hot for most people in most places. A lot of people war against summer as a season, Dad, because it's so hot, because the beaches and public places tend to be crowded with kids out of school. I think a lot of that is driven by parents also who have to account for their kids being home during that time of year. General thoughts on summer?
Well, I mean, it depends on where you are in life. Right. When you guys are young and out of school, now we have to entertain you. Right. When you're older
totally
and it's summer,
thing.
it's a big time difference. So, when you're real young and not in school, we had to entertain you 24/7 anyway, like Jesse does now with 2 kids. But then you get to the point where when they start to go to school, you're like, yes, I get some hours, I get some hours to myself. And then summertime hits and you're like, okay, now I gotta mess around with these kids and entertain these kids.
Let me tell you, there is nothing like watching parents get ready to take kids under 5 to the beach. It is like they're preparing for war. The amount of things, the amount of gear, the wagons. Jesse, I see you nodding in approval. You've lived this hell before, have you not?
I personally haven't lived this hell before because I go to a beach club, so I don't have to do any of that. But I have seen it, and it looks really, it looks bad. Like, I don't want to do it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Jesse. I forgot how the other half.
Do they serve caviar at your beach club?
No, but they do serve drinks.
Okay, that a girl.
That's half the battle right there.
To your point, you're right. I mean, it gets and it's all how you deal with it. I mean, but you do have to bring a lot. I mean, I like the pool better than the beach. It's about what you like, but and again, it's about what do your kids like? What do you want them to do? Because we saw it all. We see it all out here. There are just adults out here, players who have come just with friends and they're partying, and others, who brought families like we all. You got, your brother and sister, they're better halves, their kids. So it's a different vibe for us. It's entertaining.
It certainly is, but the same quest for everyone involved is finding shade.
Right.
It makes a world of difference in the midst of all this summer heat. And that's what we're going to try and find today. We're going to take a look at a bunch of different statements from around the world of sports and try and decide if they are full-blown shade or if they are just merely comments about whatever's gone on here. And I want to start off with this one because the other day some news came out and we were pretty happy for our guy Keegan Bradley, friend of the program, who was named the captain of the Ryder Cup team for the U.S. this year, heading into a very important juncture since Tiger Woods, who was asked originally, said that he has so many responsibilities with the tour right now and what's going on with the LIV deal. He didn't want to be able to, be an absent parent when it comes to the Ryder Cup team. Rory McIlroy had some interesting comments about that. Rory said, quote, I think when asked about Keegan Bradley being named to the Ryder Cup captainship, said, I think, quote, disbelief probably. I think Keegan was probably in disbelief at some point too, but certainly an interesting pick. Dad, shade or no shade?
Well, I mean, it seems to be a little bit of shade, doesn't it?
Shady as hell.
I mean, Keegan actually has a winning record in Ryder Cup as opposed to Rory, who's basically 500. Now, Rory's played more than Keegan, had more matches than Keegan. But yeah, I found that I found it kind of interesting, and I would lean toward the side of shade. I didn't expect to hear that because I love Keegan. As we talked about at the time, Keegan has such great passion for the game and for the Ryder Cup that I think he's going to be fantastic doing this.
It's like what we talk about with who were we just talking about in the home run derby the other day? The polar bear who loves the Peter Alonso, who loves the home run derby. Having someone who's passionate about the event that they're getting ready to play in seems to matter a lot to me. And Rory McIlroy just loves drama around the Ryder Cup, apparently. Last year involved in that little tiff outside of the clubhouse after the round got done.
He was. And oh, by the way, there's this new indoor golf league. I think it was he and Tiger that started. Rory and Keegan are teammates on the Boston team when this thing starts next year.
You're like, bro, what the hell?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Like disbelief too is such a strong word. Disbelief.
Yeah.
I mean, that is savage.
Yeah.
You know what? Not nearly as strong words as I think from our next one here. Jesse, why don't we get to this one from our buddy Pablo Torre, the Dan Le Batard show, making waves yesterday.
Yeah, so on the Le Batard show, they were discussing the most recent episode of Hard Knocks, and Dominique Foxworth was giddy. She was watching, Drake May call back a play to Brian Dable. It was so exciting, and Pablo was having none of it.
I hate this entire genre. Hold on. Of video, of person, of cultural trend
What is wrong with you? How could you not appreciate that?
All we just heard was a bunch of jargon that 99% of the audience has no idea what it means at all.
And you don't have to understand it to enjoy it. You don't, a gun dolphin, right? Don't get you fired up. You are not American, my friend.
This spider to Y banana.
We call that a post. Oh yeah, easy. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Little corner, little flag. Oh yeah.
We're just gonna say vocabulary words that no one understands.
Okay, Dominique, rather. I said sheesh.
I was going to say, Dominique would be a pretty woman.
Yeah, Dominique, gorgeous. All right, so Pablo, kind of like tossing shade here to people in the media. What do we think? Like, people who break down film in the media? Because if that's what he's doing, Bill Belichick, man, he's about to be doing that all day, every day. Is he going to be public enemy number one?
So I think there's a couple of ways to look at this. I still think hearing that, like you hear it in a hard knock situation, I think I think it is amazing to people go, oh my God, and to understand, you hear a paragraph of a play, but understand wide receivers, linemen, running backs, whoever, the different positions only need to hear one part of that. That has to do with them. You could explain better, obviously, than me, but it's so different to a defensive call. That's for sure.
It is very different, but like, I think to Pablo's point, and Dad, you've talked about this for years when you and I have talked about calling games. You sometimes feel like things are needlessly complicated.
So that's the other side I was going to get to. I think it's fun for people to hear that in that kind of a scenario. But I think in calling a game when it moves quick, that to use really technical jargon, I think kind of jumbles a broadcast a little bit. I think it's the keep it simple, stupid mentality out there to explain things that are very easy to understand.
Yeah, I think it's about context and situations in each version of this, right? And the version they're talking about in Hard Knocks, what does Hard Knocks exist to do? It exists to give you a window into the football life and to make you go ooh and ah. And sometimes that's with big hits. Sometimes it's with the emotions that come with watching someone get cut. And other times it's with being a little overwhelmed by what you're seeing in terms of the vocabulary and the information these guys have to digest. Because the whole point is you're supposed to walk away and go, well, wow, I don't feel like I could understand any of that. And yet that's second nature for these guys that also have to go and turn themselves into human missiles. That's kind of the point of all that.
And the Bill Belichick part of it, I can't wait to hear him break stuff down because he's not doing it in the booth where you only have 20 seconds and it's a little more difficult to get that all in. If he has the ability to telestrate and set all that stuff up, which he will, I am going to be, just can't wait to hear him break stuff down.
Oh yeah, he's going to be on Inside the NFL.
Yeah.
It's the perfect place for it.
Awesome.
And it to me, all of this goes back to the conversation we had around when JJ Redick brought this up on First Take, this idea of then dumbing down content a little too much. There's room for all of it. There are going to be room for people that always want to know more, and football's arrived at a really cool place where, hey, there are a lot of fans that do want to know more. And so if you just want big hits and fun stuff, I assure you, there are plenty of programs across this great nation that are going to be able to give you a bunch of that stuff. And if you want to go in here and mainline X's and O's content, you've got more people than ever doing that from different vantage points and different backgrounds, so you can learn if you want. So yeah, I do think to Pablo's point, some of it is fetishized, but that's kind of the point of that shows like this that he's discussing.
It's all in context of the show. Is it a show? Is it a game that's quick? Is it a show that breaks things down? So where then I think it's phenomenal to have all that kind of jargon and talk, because you have time to explain it for people to go, my God, I don't understand that. Then it gets explained and you're like, oh man, okay, boy, they have to know a lot. And quite honestly, the quarterback has to know a lot. As I said, each position group hears one part of the play. The quarterback's got to know it all.
Exactly. And in some offenses, I guess this is the whole point, is like, I always thought the job for all of us, especially anyone that played the game at any sort of meaningful level, was, hey, if you have a chance to give someone a little piece of information that they can steal, and then the next time they run into that context somewhere at a party with their friends, all of a sudden be able to say, hey, that part of the play there only really applies to this position group and helps them out. And then everyone goes ooh and ah and claps for them. And now all of a sudden they're the ones being fetishized. I'm not sure if we're using fetishized right anymore.
I'd
stay away. It seems like one of those words that just the more I say it, the less I really know what it means.
No, we just went OnlyFans somehow, somewhat.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jesse knows what I'm talking about.
Oh.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Jesse Cofield here in the studio in Boston. The guys are out at Lake Tahoe. Fellas, we had a fun hypothetical tweet put out by friend of the program, Mina Kimes, the other day. So she said, who would win a mile race? Player A, former NFL QB, 6'7", doesn't run at all, eats like a toddler. Or player B, former sports writer, 5'6", runs a few miles every day and loves it. So former NFL quarterback, 6'7", like eats like a toddler. Who could that be? We have no idea. This is completely hypothetical. But guys, given this, who wins? Because I actually think it's kind of up in the air.
Well, so this came up the other day because Dan Orlovsky posted this had come up a while ago in a discussion that I had seen, but Dan Orlovsky posted a video the other day that he went running with his wife.
Right.
And one of the things he talked about was the nipple chafing that can go on if you get above a certain mileage here, and just his newfound respect for runners because his wife runs off and he doesn't run very much.
I believe he ran well enough to have a nipple chafe.
I mean, listen, from someone who has had their nipples chafe, I can tell you, you don't have to run that far to have your nipples.
Well, you are a little bit different weight category, so your nipple rubbing is a little harder on the shirt because your shirt's a little tighter.
Dan's shirt's probably tight relative to his body type. He seems like his are tight, so he probably got nipple.
By the way, he does. His food choices are the worst by far I have ever seen out of anybody.
So I would say this: the contest here comes down to I think stride length is the only thing that gives me some pause because Dan is very tall, he's very lanky, and Mina not short by any stretch of the imagination, but comparatively, I have seen Mina open it up a little bit. When we were at the 2019 NFL Draft in Nashville, we went out to one of the NFL Experience events, and I fielded a punt. She went down and covered it.
Right.
She made up ground really quickly, and she does run a lot by her own admission there. So I would probably throw my money on Mina early on because of the experience. I think putting it at like a 3 mile mark would be a much better indicator.
That's what I was going to say.
And level
if
the
it's
playing
like
field a bit.
more than 1 mile, it's Mina. But
I
if
was
it's
turning it in. That's exactly what I was going to say, Jesse. Turn it into a 5K, 3.2 miles. That now the other question I have is, because I would go with Mina in the mile as well if you just said today. Are you giving Dan time to train?
No.
If you give Dan time to train.
I want today.
Okay.
I want you to go out and do it right now as you are.
If it's today, I still think Dan might be able to gut out a mile just out of the competition side of it to maybe beat Mina. But I don't know if I would put money on it. You go to a 5K and they just do it today. It's Mina, not even a choice, not even a question.
Yeah, I do think that would be the most interesting version of this race to kind of account for the differences in stride length there. But that did get us thinking, Jesse, on another little blind resume idea around here. The show, it's Friday game day. I don't know if you guys have noticed here. We are 3 segments in. We are 3 games in right now. We're going to keep that pace going. So, Jesse, why don't you kind of explain what we've got coming up here?
Yeah, so we're going to show you 2 players. Okay, you're going to pick who you would take. Now, these players or teams, perhaps, were based on their odds on the DK Sportsbook for a bet that seemed like a little strange to us. So we want to kind of get your pick based on the information that we have. Okay, so are you guys ready?
Blind resume, right?
Blind resume.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So these are potential rookie of the years here. So player A, okay, draft pick went 9th overall. POI awards 2, odds to win rookie of the year plus 600. Now player B, 2nd overall draft pick, player of the year awards 1, odds to win rookie of the year plus 550. So 2 top 10 picks, each player of the year awards similar odds here. What do we think? Who we going with?
All right, this is really interesting. And mostly this one is a tough blind resume.
It is.
We just went through the draft and I know who both of these players are. Do you know who? I mean, you know who the 2nd pick is, right?
I know who the 2nd pick is.
So we've got Jaden Daniels at the 2nd pick here, who's the player of the year awards. That would be the Heisman that he won last year. And then player A, 9th overall pick. Do you have any idea this one is? He's teammates with another one of the top 10 picks.
Well, I mean, the 9th pick was Roma Dunze.
Okay, yeah. I was just making sure.
Come on. I'm a pro.
So that being said, between the 2 of these, how do you feel? Jaden Daniels is going to have a ton of opportunities to influence the game, especially with his legs here. Roma Dunze is working in an offense where he's going to have another offensive rookie of the year candidate in the same room with him. So that was the thing that confused me a little bit by how these odds were so close.
2 other receivers. I mean, it's not like Rome walks in and he's the man. There's 2 other, big receivers.
And you know what they say?
Well,
Rome wasn't
guys,
built in a day.
you seem pretty confident about who player A is, but it's actually Zach Edey.
Oh,
So,
really?
You thought you knew, but you didn't.
Player of the year. That's right. He was back-to-back Naismith.
I was wondering what Player of the Year awards Rome they won, and just figured that they were like some smaller outlet ones.
Wow. So Zach Edey, John Morant, the pick and roll.
Wow.
He's gonna
So shocker that he's the leader here, guys, right? Because of one summer league game.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know we are just really. People thought we were overreacting to stuff with Cooper Flagg. Y'all got one Zach Edey summer league game and just ran to the book.
Better chance to win because we've talked about what a bad NBA draft this was. So who knows who could pull it off?
Yeah,
I'd almost pick Zach over Jaden Daniels.
I'll still rock with Jaden on this just because I'm reeling from this reveal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure our producers accidentally messed up and told me about this yesterday. And I still didn't.
It lured you down. Yeah.
Okay. Jesse, let's go on to the next one. What do we got here?
All right, NFL MVP, player A and player B. Let's start with player A. So career games started, 18, okay? MVPs, goose egg, 0. Odds, plus 1,400. Now, player B, career games started, a whopping 77. MVPs, that would be 2. Odds, plus 1,400. So you go player A or player B, and I think you can see the kind of surprising here is one player is extremely, veteran here, and one player seems to be not so much. So what do we think?
This one,
at least I know they both play in the same sport.
Yeah, and I think we'll get these because certainly only 77 starts and 2 MVPs because we had a couple another guy named Aaron Rodgers with multiple MVPs has more than that. So that's got to be Lamar Jackson.
Yes. So LJ era at plus 1,400, which is interesting.
So the player A just 18 starts. And plus 14, I know who that is.
Yeah, it's Jordan Love.
It's Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And
you
listen,
did it.
the improvement of Jordan Love over the year, and then I actually called his playoff game against Dallas in a game during the season, toward the end of the season, he had improved so much. That's a tough one, though. I'm somewhat stunned they're the same. I would certainly be leaning toward Lamar Jackson here.
I think it's betting on the continued advancement of the youngest offense in the NFL in Green Bay, who did it in lieu of a true number one receiver piece necessarily in that group. I'm with you. I would still be much more inclined to lean in on Lamar Jackson. I think maybe the only thing you could bank on there is, hey, maybe you get some fatigue in that with Lamar Jackson. He just won it last year. The threshold and the standard for him goes up yet again in what we expect. So I would pick him. But Jordan Love, going to be another guy that has his name, along with CJ Stroud, I'm sure, popping that more and more than we expect. Let's get one more in here, Jesse. What do we got?
Yeah, guys, who do you think would win in this golf matchup? So you got player A. He's 34, played 12 NFL seasons. Teams he played for, 3. The school was Notre Dame. NFL Hall of Fame, no. Odds, plus 250,000. Player B, age 61. NFL seasons played, 9. Teams played for, 3. School, also Notre Dame. NFL Hall of Fame, no. Same odds, 250,000. Who could these people be, and who do we take?
Who could these people possibly be?
So, okay, obviously the age 61 is me, and I had to correct them because they had 8 NFL seasons.
Boy, I don't see my dad get fired up often, and before the show, he's breathing fire around here, demanding justice for his 9th NFL season that he spent on IR.
I was on IR, and that counts as an NFL season, so that will count as far as, and I got to change my Wikipedia page, or someone needs to. The age 34, 12 seasons, 3 teams, that's got to be Kyle Rudolph.
Like I say, my former roommate.
By the way,
great Notre Dame tight end Kyle
Rudolph. We were both in this tournament last year.
Yes.
Who finished higher?
You did beat him.
Yes,
last
I did.
Year, so
yes, I did.
I like how, Senior, though, you've been talking about this the whole time, being like, but I'm really only competing against myself. Like,
right,
you're
exactly.
just setting
you're going
it up.
on this journey of self-fulfillment.
Yeah, but you're setting
and now
it up.
You're trying to gun at Kyle.
Yeah.
Well, part of being most improved is continuing to continue to beat the people I beat last year, and Kyle was one of them.
Let me tell you what, Kyle looking good right now, down in like the 230s. I think weight-wise, he's lean, he's still strong,
and I'm a little injured. Is that
Christ? Here we go.
Injured.
You know what? Let me tell you this: if Kyle beats you, he won't need the excuse of your injury, but it's already started. You guys are hearing it first right now. Pulling up and grabbing his rib cage. Ooh. Jesus, you're shameless.
Let's swing a little bit.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. It is award season, baby. All right, we got the Golden Golics coming up. We're going to get into that. But Wimbledon also going to crown its winners. 2 countries going to claim their Euro and Copa America titles. So that brings us to today's Cash It or Trash It segment. So Cash It or Trash It presented by DraftKings. Stay tuned. You're going to hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. So, guys, here's the schedule. You just took a look at it. We got a lot of crowns that need to be handed out this weekend. Let's talk about which team or player is cashing their tickets and winning their crown. Let's start with Wimbledon, fellas. What do we think?
All right, so Dad, this is really interesting here. On the women's side, we have Barbara Krejcikova, which man, I had to really Barbora Krejcikova. Yeah, how much of that I've watched, and Jasmine Polini going in that one. Polini, second straight final for her, lost to Swiatek last year. No other quarterfinal appearances as well there. So the women's side, I'm going to be honest, no idea. Firmly no clue. Have not.
I'm going with Jasmine. I've watched some of this.
Okay, yeah.
He ended up beating the young American.
It's incredible.
What was it? Was it Emma Navarro? Hopefully I'm getting that right. Who beat Coco Gauff?
Yes.
Emma was 22 from won the NCAA crown at Virginia and was just gave a great interview. I was really rooting for her, and Jasmine beat her. So I'm going to go with Jasmine.
Perfect.
That's where I'm going.
I would say
only reason that's it.
I literally couldn't tell you less, and I apologize to the women's side of the Wimbledon bracket. It's not your fault. I've been busy.
And the men's side, we're still in the semis here. I'm going with Alcaraz. I mean, the whole way. He and Djokovic had the final last year. And Alcaraz, that dude is so much fun to watch play. And Djokovic, after the incident,
it's really what it comes down to is Alcaraz, young, fun, Spanish, cool, likes to yell when he plays, dynamic athlete. Novak Djokovic, all-time great, gigantic baby. And so we can't possibly root for that kind of behavior. I think Alcaraz and Medvedev are playing right now. I believe that semifinal has started, at least what I saw briefly on my phone this morning. Wait and see. So, Alcaraz plus 105 to win at Wimbledon. Unsurprisingly, the favorite, the defending champion, all of those things. But that being said, right now, I do think he's in a great position to go ahead and pull this off again. Hopefully we get him and Joker back there so we get another classic. And the Wimbledon crowd, if you've got any chutzpah about you will boo him at some point just to see.
Get under his skin. And again, one of the all-time greats. I mean, this has nothing to do with his tennis. Nothing to do with his tennis. But, man, the way he handled that situation when he played, I think it was Rune was the dude's name. Alcaraz was actually seated lower than Djokovic in this game. Alcaraz was 3. Djokovic is 2.
Joker's all-time great. But
I love watching Alcaraz.
Fun, exciting, young, not complaining about the crowd, yells joyfully when he wins. Now, I want to get to this. Euros, it's Spain versus England in the final here. And the England semi had one of the coolest moments that we have ever seen. I don't think we got to talk about this the other day, but the Killers were playing a concert, I believe, over in England. And while this semifinal was getting ready to finish up, they just stopped the concert, and on the background screen behind them on the stage, they put the TV, the showing of the game, and they watched as time ticked off at the end of it.
That's very cool.
And right as the time clock ticked off that announced that England was going back to the Euro finals, they launched off a bunch of streamers and fireworks and then immediately dove into a rendition of Mr. Brightside, their most famous song, and an anthem that gets the whites absolutely jumping. I'd imagine that's true for the European blend of our Caucasian brothers and sisters as well. And so riding the high of that, Dad, going up against Spain, who is the favorite right now at minus 150. Spain looking for their first title since 2012. England has never won. They lost to Italy in 2020. They played in 2021. So, Dad, is the cup coming home for the lads in England?
I'm flipping a coin here. You were talking about Wimbledon. I've watched some Wimbledon. I haven't watched this. So, I mean, I'm one of the...
Spain took down France the other day. France, who was essentially the Iowa football of the Euro tournament, hadn't scored goals in live action during the... It had all been own goals or penalty kicks or things like that along the way. Yeah. And, of course, then France goes out and scores one early and promptly gets baptized by 2 goals.
I'll go with the underdog so I can, maybe make a few bucks here. I'll go with England.
I think it'd be an awesome story to watch England bring it home. I think it'd be fun. It would allow us to come on here and say "in it" next Monday, which is about the only bit of little British that I can inject into a conversation when I want to feel festive here. Last one, Dad, Copa America, Argentina versus Colombia here. Argentina won in 2021, minus 170 favorites to win over Colombia here. I'll ride with the favorite. Who are you taking?
You got a coin?
Flip it again?
Yeah, flip it again.
All right.
I'll go with both underdogs. What the hell? I'll go with Colombia.
There you go. Colombia. It's Colombia. You got to say with the O.
Colombia.
All right, cool.
Okay.
Jesse, let's
Colombia.
get to the last one here. Ranking the events coming up for this weekend here, apparently, is something we're about to do.
Yeah, I mean, we're just, filling time here. But
Very
basically,
much.
it's
Summer shows, baby.
summertime and the living is easy. And we just got to figure out what we're talking about. I mean, it's been quite a Friday for me. I called Dominique Foxworth she, like, what a time to be alive.
Yeah.
I will say this, if we got something I wanted to get to anyway here, and it is technically a competition. I don't know if we can handicap it, but coming up here on Saturday at the American Century Championships, they did announce this event the other day. We caught wind of this during the show and didn't get to talk about it. I want to throw this one out here. Saturday, there's going to be a 4-hole playoff here. So it's going to be holes 17 and 18, which are the party holes here. They're the fun holes by the water.
Yep.
It's where everybody gets active. Last year, you were bonging beers and doing shots over there.
Man,
it's
I got roasted there.
Yeah, you got absolutely rocked. I watched you shoot underhand on a basketball hoop like 11 times to make one. It was a tough scene for you.
Horrid.
Over on those 2 holes, they're going to have Jimmy Fallon from The Tonight Show, obviously NBC, all that affiliation here for the tournament. Play against DJ Khaled. For 4 holes in a 4-hole
DJ,
playoff.
as some of us know him.
DJ,
and
my
so
friend DJ.
That's what I wanted to get to here is before the last segment, we were sitting around talking about this because last night we're out, the event last night with the karaoke that Travis Kelce won is right by the hotel. Right. And so we looked over and saw on the hotel balcony.
It was DJ
Khaled
was DJ
over there. And
DJ
Dad referred to him as, you could look over there and see DJ, as if that were his first name and not his title.
I just meant to say it quick. We were in a break amongst just a few of us. Did I have to say his entire title? Hey, there's DJ. DJ Khaled was there as DJ, or was Khaled, or what?
Well, Khaled is actually like a part of his
Let me ask you a question. When I said, Jesse and Mike, let me ask you a question. When I said we turned around and on the balcony was DJ, did you know who I was talking about?
Honestly, no. I thought for a second you meant Dustin Johnson or any
I
other
knew you meant DJ Khaled because we were talking about DJ Khaled.
Exactly right, and that's why I did it. But that is pretty cool. And in our meeting with all the players on Wednesday night, they showed the clip of Jimmy Fallon on the Tonight Show holding up pictures of DJ Khaled in his golf outfit, saying, "I know he's into golf a lot," and he challenged him on air. I'm sure, obviously, this was a bit of a setup, but he challenged him on air, and that's how the whole thing came about because they asked all of us to be on the tee, for this, to kind of make it a big thing.
Yeah, because I think it's going to be on the open of the Tonight Show and all that fun stuff. So.
Yeah. So that will be interesting. As you mentioned, they play 17 and 18 twice.
Can Jimmy Fallon golf? Do we have any idea?
I think he can.
Because I know DJ Khaled, you see him on social media, and he's always golfing at like Michael Jordan's private.
Always golfing. I have no idea if he's any good, but he's always out there golfing. So that's going to be on. This American Century Championship is going to be on. We just won. Wimbledon's going to be on. Euros, Copa, that's all going to be on
Did you pick DJ Khaled or Jimmy Fallon?
Again, flip a coin. I think
DJ Khaled winning is the objectively funnier outcome.
I'm going with DJ.
For that.
You know what? I'm going to go with my buddy DJ.
Going with DJ.
I really...
Yeah, thanks, Jesse.
I really don't want you to call him DJ to his face if that happens.
Do that. What would you call him? If you go, I know his name is not DJ, it's his profession. And do you just call him Khaled? I mean, what do you say? Hey,
what's
man.
DJ Khaled's first name?
I don't know. And so what, if you met him, hey, dude, I'm, Mike Golic. What are you saying? I don't know.
We're going to try and effort his first name here.
Khaled Muhammad Khaled.
Khaled Muhammad Khaled.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay.
Khaled.
So Khaled. So it's just called Khaled. Khaled works.
So yeah, like I said, Khaled, his actual name, not DJ, his title. All right. Coming up next, someone with a title and some substance, Heather Dinich, is going to join us to talk college football.
Hey DJ, hope I see you Saturday.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic, hour number 2 here. Mike Golic Jr., Mike Golic Sr., Jesse Cofield holding it down in the DraftKings studio in Boston. Me and Dad out here in South Lake Tahoe as the lights are beginning to come on around here.
I got a place. Next break, I'll get you some coffee.
Coffee. All
what
right,
kind of pastry would you like? Would you like a muffin? Would you like a croissant?
Oh boy, are you okay?
Yeah.
First the DJ Khaled thing, and now
I need more coffee, so
yeah,
I'm losing it a little bit.
You definitely do here. One of the horrifying revelations we had during the last break is we were excited to welcome in ESPN college football writer, reporter extraordinaire, Heather Dinich, joining us here now. As Heather was listening to us bicker during the last break, she realized that she is never going to be fully off the clock with her 3 boys that she has to care for now. So Heather, we're sorry for giving you the look into the future that maybe you didn't think was always going to be there.
Yeah, I think my biggest concern is feeding everyone forever, because I always used to wonder why people go to Sam's Club, and now I know, because I need 2 gallons of peanut butter for my boys. So I got it.
It never, ever stops. My daughter now, the mother of a beautiful baby girl, Alex, she's 29 years old, 28, 29, somewhere in there.
That sounds right.
I mean, I swear on my deathbed, my daughter will have tears in her eyes, but then she will ask, will my credit card still work before I go? I mean, it's always going to be there, Heather, always.
All right. Well, I'll turn to you for advice down the road.
Dear God, that's a dark thought. In the meantime, coming up the road here, we know college football conference media days are getting going here, which makes it a busy time for you, Heather. I know you're going to be heading to Big Ten Media Day, SEC Media Day, and SEC Media Day. Did I see right? Going to be in Dallas this year, making a little bit of move as the conference grows and expands.
That's right. And I said to SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, do you really need to give another reason for me to go to Dallas? Because I'm there for the college football selection committee. They're constantly meeting at the DFW airport to talk about all the big things that are secretive. So Dallas is a hot spot, and it's going to be at the Omni Hotel there. And I'm really looking forward to it. But as you know, it's a huge conference now. So there are 4 teams one day, 4 teams the next day, 4 teams the next day. And the same with the Big Ten. So old school used to be a couple days, talk to some players and coaches, you're out. Now this is a week-long event for both conferences.
So I don't think anybody would be stunned at me asking this question, but college playoffs that you go to with their meetings, and then when you go to a conference like these meetings, better catering.
Better catering?
Who has better catering? Who has better catering?
Oh, well, the College Football Playoff Selection Committee gets the spread. I mean, as I'm listening to you talk about muffins and croissants, I'm thinking about the selection committee members and how Junior there would fit just right in that room.
It's 100%. I have always dreamed of being. I know, Dad, you have been angling to try and get yourself on the selection.
When I'm done in this business, I'm going to try and get on that committee. For the spread, but B, because I would love to just break down games and do that.
Exactly. So while you're waiting for the spread there, Heather will get to focus on the spread coming up these media days. And Heather, certainly you mentioned the growth of both of these conferences here. Certainly, we know July 1st, Texas and Oklahoma officially became members of the SEC. Saw the big welcome party that the SEC network had with Texas over there. So what has been now? We know this move's been coming for a while, but now that it's real and on the doorstep, what have the conversations started to be like around the rest of the conference, especially now with a Texas team fresh off a college football playoff appearance?
Well, I can best probably give you, honestly, the Texas perspective of it, because I spent some time with Steve Sarkisian in his office and at SEC spring meetings in Destin talking about the renewed rivalries that will happen with them and also the pressure to win a national championship. But I can tell you guys that Sark, having an SEC background, having the experience that he had at Alabama, he has been recruiting all along to build an SEC type team, right? With depth up front on both lines, and top talent all over the field. And so for Texas, I expect this to be a seamless transition for them. And I expect them not only to contend for the SEC championship, but also for the national title this year. And the Oklahoma perspective is, having talked to Brent Venables, he's excited about this. One of the things that he told me in Destin was that it has been a challenge to recruit against Georgia and Alabama in those states and SEC country, not having a chance yet to prove that you can win that league, right? So he's used to recruiting those areas and obviously has connections there. And he said that having the SEC brand does add some instant credibility to those conversations when you walk in those living rooms, but he knows that he's got to win at that level to win some of those recruits.
You know, talking to coaches at football, right? I mean, it almost to them, whatever conference we're in, fine, here's our schedule, we're preparing to play games. When you're talking to commissioners like Greg Sankey, what is their discussion about? Because I'm always thinking about how quickly this has changed. What's the next? I mean, we're in this new conferences, but how long are these going to be what they are until the next change?
They're always talking about that. They're always thinking about it. And they're always asked about it every time they step up in front of reporters with a microphone at this point in the season. But the other thing, too, is that every single one of them, all the power players, Tony Petitti in the Big Ten, Greg Sankey, Jim Phillips in the ACC, Brett Yormark in the Big 12, their focus right now is on the NCAA settlement and trying to see how that revenue distribution works and how it coordinates with Title IX. Once they get that piece of the puzzle, I think they all start to get into the nitty gritty of having more answers on roster size. I think they're getting very close to that. And all these other questions that we have, realignment, things like that. But you guys know just how tricky those lawsuits can be, particularly in the ACC. And that's kind of where all eyes are next in terms of how that unfolds.
Yeah, certainly we know that's been the cloud hanging over the sport, or at least for the decision makers all offseason, is waiting for those final dominoes to fall. I'm curious, Heather, of what you made of some of the comments from Brett Yormark from the Big 12 as their media days wrapping up over the last couple of days, not only about that aspect of college sports, but just the Big 12's place in the coming world of college football that seems so dominated by the two conferences in the Big 10 and the SEC.
That was particularly on brand for Yormark. I would expect nothing less from his comments. The hype reel that he played beforehand, the sizzle reel, whatever you want to call it. He is just bullish on the future of the Big 12. He is such a business-driven personality. And his comments that he's not going to stop until it's the best conference in the country, those types of things. He did make a comment that he thought it was the deepest football conference in the country. I thought that was interesting because that's a point that could certainly be debated, because I don't know what you guys think, but to me, that might be the most interesting conference race because so many teams can win. All three of us could pick somebody different and make a valid argument. Oklahoma State, K-State, golly, we have Kansas in our FPI as the top team. I like Utah. So is it the deepest? I don't know. We'll see how many teams the committee ranks, but I think it could be the most competitive.
And speaking of Big 12, there was Mike Gundy and the comments he made after his running back, Ollie Gordon, was charged with driving under the influence. And shows like ours have been kind of scratching our head and wondering why the hell Gundy was saying what he's saying or what he said. How much blowback is he getting? Not from shows like ours, but maybe from the conference and what they thought of that.
I'm honestly not seeing a lot of that. I mean, it could be that people hope that it just quietly disappears, but I mean, it's such a Gundy thing too, right? If somebody's going to make news out of the Big 12 media days, it's going to be him. It happens every year. I too was scratching my head, and I'm wondering how all of a sudden is this an appropriate response? Is this okay? And what message does it send to other players? I understand what he was saying about college football is a business and you have to do what's best for the industry, but as an employee, and we're everyone who's employees, like, we're all held accountable no matter what, and we're all trying to make money and make a living. So I don't know if that's the right explanation for it.
No, I think certainly we can all agree Mike Cundy's comments fell well short of whatever you would have expected from a leader in that situation, talking with one of his players here. So Heather, we know we talked a little bit about what's coming up in the SEC media days. Obviously, Big Ten, similar tenor this year where you're adding teams to the conference, former Pac-12 teams now making their way over there. As you get ready to head and also cover those media days, what do you think is the biggest storyline for the Big Ten, maybe outside of just the teams that are coming on board this year?
Well, I think it's, can Ohio State and Ryan Day not only get back to playing for a national championship, but can they win the darn thing? And can he beat Michigan, obviously, is a huge question. And it's right. This is the right time. Like, if you can't beat Michigan now when there's such an overhaul with their roster, then I think people are really going to start throwing daggers at him if they're not already. And of course, there certainly are. Everybody has their critics, right? But Ohio State has a fantastic team. They are uber talented. I'm not sure how great Will Howard is going to be at quarterback, but I don't know that he has to be great because he has so many players around him. Can he just manage the offense and not turn the ball over? Right. But also Oregon is fantastic. So to me, the biggest question is it Ohio State or Oregon? I love that they play each other. And guys, I'm not sure people realize this, but in the 12-team college football playoff, teams can play each other 3 times. Right. They can play each other during the regular season, the conference championship game, and again in the 12-team field, depending how the seeding works out. So you could see Ohio State, Michigan 3 times. I'm all for that, but I don't know how other people feel.
It is amazing that we're talking about Ohio State and Oregon battling for the conference title and being in the same conference. But it'll just take a year and we'll be used to it. So speaking of changes and where they're going, NIL, Heather, are we close to getting guardrails anywhere or any kind of functioning rules more than we have right now to control any of this?
Well, my understanding is that they're hoping that this NCAA lawsuit settlement helps quiet the waters in other aspects, because one of the things that college athletics has really struggled with is the lawsuits, right? And every time they try to make a rule, somebody sues them for it, and enforcement of these rules. So I think NIL ties into that. But I still firmly believe that anyone who's sitting around waiting for the federal government to fix this doesn't know how the federal government works. And I don't know that the federal government does work, if we're being quite honest, and we look at the state of the state here across the United States. So there are a lot of other things that are going on here. And I don't know that the politicians' priorities right now are fixing college athletics. Nor should it be.
No, I would say
I would agree with that.
I would fully agree with that. And I think there's a little thing coming up in the fall this year that might even distract from that further if you're looking for the federal government to be the one that comes and bails them out.
All leaders take care of this. I wish they would just, well, I guess it's easier said than done. So
it is all much easier said than done here. So that being said, nothing going to be easy about the coming days and the coming spreads that Heather Dinich has to bravely tackle while she covers all of these big time conferences. Heather, we thank you so much for the time. Enjoy stocking up on peanut butter for the boys, but certainly enjoy your trips to these conference media days. I know we're all looking forward to the season starting just around the corner.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you both so much for having me on. Keep up the great work.
Thanks, Heather.
You too, Heather. Always great stuff.
I'm telling you, it's a goal for me. When I'm done with this, I want to be on that committee, and I want my goal is to be on that committee, have that spread, and have Heather Dinich interview me after one of the meetings.
Well, I would say that's how you know you've made it to a place of importance, especially with the college football playoff, because I feel like there needs to be, by the end of maybe the 4-team iteration of the college football playoff, or whenever we inevitably change to another system, because I laughed when she brought up that idea that teams could now potentially play 3 times, the regular season, the conference title game, and then again in the playoff. Because if you remember, going all the way back to, I think it was 2011, when you had LSU and Alabama play in the regular season and then play again in the national title, that was the game that finally broke the BCS, where people said, well, we can't have this, the SEC just domineering over this current format and these 2 teams playing again. Surely we won't stand for that. What's it going to be like if you have teams play for 3 times and God forbid the 3rd time might be in the national championship again? And so if and when the system does break down again, there needs to be some sort of award around the CFP named in honor of Heather Dinich, because she has basically been an honorary member of that entire process from the
seen it all. Absolutely seen it all. Maybe they should be going to her for advice on how to run things.
Like I say, I wouldn't be surprised in the least. That being said, what she brought up and what she's getting ready to tackle with these media days, I think appropriate points about the Big 12, in that now with some of the influx of teams she had there. I mean, Utah, who's going to get Cam Rising back for his 11th year of college football. Kyle Whittingham and company got the succession plan in there in place for when he is no longer there, but still coming in with that same brand of beat 'em up football that I think is going to have a worthwhile home, going up against the Oklahoma States of the world, the Kansas of the world in that conference.
That's going to be interesting. Utah style of defense against Big 12 style of offense.
Well, and I mean, and how that's changed over the years too. I mean, this Big 12 that went from this wide open run and shoot league that ultimately got scaled back because of the defenses that started playing around there, to now, Oklahoma State living on the ground with Ollie Gordon, Kansas State in the way that they've been there for a while since Colin Klein took over, especially as the offensive coordinator in this new regime there. Kansas, one of the most exciting offenses and creative offenses in the country over the last few years. All that's going to be fine and good. But I think what she brought up is everyone's going to be curious. Texas coming in last year off of what they managed to do in the college football playoff scene in the SEC. And then Oregon, I think, is the one that she brought up in the Big Ten as someone who's expected to come in and immediately be a contender. Are there either of those teams you're more confident in walking into their respective conference and immediately making an impact and competing for
I probably lean toward Oregon, because I think the SEC is a little deeper than the Big Ten. Big Ten's a little more top heavy, so I would probably lean toward Oregon to have that shot. That's where I would go. I'm excited to see them both go into the different styles of those conferences bring, but I would probably lean it toward Oregon. So who would you lean toward?
It's so interesting for me because obviously, like I said, this year going into the discussion of the season, Ohio State, who Heather mentioned, and Georgia, to me, you can put in pen for the college football playoff.
Yes.
The rosters are just so insanely deep. And even if Will Howard isn't the second coming of Christ there, even if he's not getting back to what they had for such a long stretch in these first round draft pick NFL quarterbacks that fell off last year, the room around him is so robust. Chip Kelly coming over there as the offensive coordinator to come take some of the work off the plate of Ryan Day. I think all that goes a long enough way to make things run well enough to get them to the playoff there. But Texas is coming back. And in college football, really, like, you look at, hey, are they returning, quality on defense, which they've lost some important pieces up front defensively to Texas, but same coordinator, same play caller, same quarterback there. And you run down that list with Quinn Ewers and Steve Sarkisian, and you feel pretty good about that as your baseline in the sport.
And then, Heather mentioned the top teams in the Big 12. Colorado was not one of those teams mentioned as they moved to the Big 12, and yet still very interesting what's going on.
I was going to say, do we have that Shedeur Sanders sound
we do,
that we could cue up here? Can we check that out? Shedeur Sanders asked about the pressure of playing there, and he referenced that they are everybody's Super Bowl.
Do you have an obligation to perform at a different level?
It's been that since day one. I remember first media day when I was in HBCU, I said, we won't lose a game. I'm undefeated in the SWAC, so I already know what the expectation comes with. I know we're everybody's Super Bowl, so I'm really just, I always stay level-headed, stay grounded, because I would never want to be that guy, look back, and not being able to take advantage of the moment that we have right now.
Listen, I mean, to that line, that's what's sticking everywhere. We're everybody's Super Bowl. I mean, and one of the best comments I saw under that was like, "No, you're everybody's homecoming," and I would lean more toward that than everybody's Super Bowl. Listen, one thing he's right about. They're marked every time because Dion talks, Shador talks, and that's them. They do not mind the spotlight shining brightly on them. They will say their piece, and that does make you, if you're playing them, want to shut them up. So from that standpoint, that's more. It's not that it's the other team's Super Bowl to beat them because they are easily beatable, but it's you want to kind of knock them down a peg.
Yeah, it's in terms of attention, not execution.
Yes,
or competition that you're worried and focused on that. But we saw it with Oregon and Dan Lanning last year, one of the best teams in the country. When they were hosting Colorado, we had all those videos from Dan Lanning and company talking about we're playing for championships, they're playing for clicks.
Right.
It's clearly bothered enough people to make them a team that people want to try and go out there and beat. Coming up next, we had the ESPYs last night. We got the Golden Golics today. We're going to hand out hardware to some deserving athletes and entertainers across the industry next year on the show.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Jesse Cofield here, senior and junior out at Lake Tahoe. Guys, in honor of that time of year where the sports world really just like comes to a crawl, we've been playing games all show, we're just, hanging out here, talking about anything and everything. We're going to piggyback off our friends at ESPN and welcome everybody in to the Golden Golics, okay? Everybody, thank you for being here. This is just going to be a fun little group discussion. Woo! We're going to go through, hand out some awards, shoot the breeze, do what we do best.
We are going to do what we do best, guys. We're going to take a look back at the year that was. And Dad, I think for us, we talked about, and you've been involved. We actually never went to the ESPYs your entire time.
Did.
You did once?
They were in New York one time. Me and your mother went.
Because I was going to say, it used to always be V Foundation Auction Week when we were there. So I never got to go.
Your mother and I went when it was in New York, and then it was out in California. Greenie and I went a couple of times because we did our show on the red carpet.
Oh,
so yeah, been there a few times. Had to throw on the old tuxedo a couple of times.
There you go. Well, no tuxedos here. Just whatever we've got at our disposal. It looks like you've added muffins and coffee to the table.
I did,
which is perfect for the award show that you were almost late to.
Trying to take care of you. Okay,
No,
I got back with 10 seconds to spare.
That's a great dad right there.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm glad somebody appreciates it.
We'll give you the dad award. You're the only nominee, but you won.
Boom.
Best dad on air on this show award.
You know what? Jesse talked you into that. I don't want to hear it.
No, I mean, it's true. You are the best dad that is on air on this show.
You know what? I'd say something right now, but I don't want to get DraftKings in trouble.
It's absolutely fantastic. All right, let's kickstart this thing off, considering we are a show that is at least somewhat consumed on God's internet. I am a child of God's internet. And so here's an award for the Stay Off the Internet award here. No surprise, the usual combatants, Caleb Williams, Kevin Durant, and Brandon Ayuk, all named into this group as well. Dad, Kevin Durant, it seems like this would be sort of a lifetime achievement award for him.
Yes.
Because I do feel like his best days of internet trolling and sensitivity are behind him. He is now just an active participant in the hellscape that we're all on.
I would still give him the award because athletes being open in social media and battling, saying things or getting in beefs or whatever is pretty common now. Kevin Durant went the burner role. Remember?
Yeah, I mean, that was years ago.
I know, but I'm still.
But he was an innovator.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's why he wins this award then. You want to give him the Innovator Award on it? I'm still giving it to Kevin Durant for the way he started that way. Now he's up front a little more about it, but I'm giving it to him.
I would say Kevin Durant. I send this more as a place of love because Kevin Durant also once famously tweeted, there's no logging off. I'm here. Because what people always try and tell you, oh, you shouldn't be responding to this when they tweet something foul at you, and all of a sudden the clapback hits and they don't like the way that feels. Kevin Durant's reminding people, no. I've been here also studying the blade on this particular craft, and I'm going to make it hurt if you feel like you can come up here and think you can say anything you want.
Something, because my motto is I rarely log on.
I know. And you know what? You are better for it. Let's go foot and mouth award here. Someone who obviously has unsurprisingly done that. This one, no surprising, the recency bias in this, Dad, Mike Gundy. Referencing the Ollie Gordon DUI, saying, quote, I've had done it 1,000 times, referencing to a mild DUI. Aaron Rodgers for missing minicamp for reasons that we don't fully know yet. And also after saying that the Jets needed to flush all the distractions out of that video. The Louisville Police Department and the $80 pair of pants heard around the world with Scotty Scheffler's arrest at Valhalla, and Tom Brady for agreeing to do a roast that ultimately seemed to make his family really, really not happy.
I'm always interested in when people say something and if they ever regret it, and B, how quickly do they regret it?
Sure.
Like the Louisville police officer talking to the $8 pants. I wonder at some point, did somebody have to tell him, man, that was a dumb comment?
He doubled down on it. He was like,
Well, and Mike Gundy, obviously, many people probably told him that was a really dumb comment. Tom Brady, I'm like, yeah, sounds like fun, until I'm sure during that roast, he was realizing I shouldn't have done this. Aaron Rodgers, almost like Kevin Durant, it should be the lifetime achievement for all the appearances on McAfee and all the great for Pat show, except for the apologies that he has to make every now and then.
Sure.
But when Aaron's not playing football, where Aaron goes, I mean, you know what people are, while McAfee has to give apologies, people are tuning in and watching, not sure what he's going to say, what Aaron's going to say.
I feel like you've got to go with Tom Brady on this one, though, guys, because that was, you could see his face during that. And then he went out afterwards and was like, yeah, I regret doing that. Like, I should not have agreed to do that roast. I was naive. I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I feel like you got to go with TB12 on this one.
The check still cleared, though.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
What was it, 20 million? 20 million?
I think at least, yeah.
I mean, it was basically enough to offset the crypto losses from his portfolio. So, yeah, I can't give it to Tom Brady. I think Aaron Rodgers, like you said, Dad, goes to the lifetime achievement just because whatever you feel about him and so many of his like political or, vaccine opinions, which feel like a whole other lifetime ago in this, even the most recent stuff of all of the comments about needing to flush things out of the building and everything he said while he was injured and on the shelf last year, to then come out and be the basically sole source of distraction for this team during the course of an offseason, where he even got up and said, yeah, I understand if I don't perform, everyone's probably getting fired here, which Rob Saleh has to be waking up at night in a cold sweat almost daily. I'd go Aaron Rodgers.
And again, I will quickly say him missing minicamp will have nothing to do with how their season goes. This is all just the perception around the talk.
Exactly. It's all about how it sounds and looks for us. Let's get to the awards that matter here, Dad. The award for large excellence, the award for the best year from a big guy, a reformed big guy, someone who's got a large heart. Because as always, I like to remind people, being thick just isn't about your physical stature. It's about your state of mind, and it's about that thing that beats in your chest. So looking at a couple of the names around here, certainly our buddy Joe Alt, Notre Dame offensive tackle, was the first O-lineman off the board in the 2024 NFL draft. DJ Burns, our big baller from NC State during this last year. Jason Kelsey, listen, hard to ignore the year that he's had out here as well.
I have to go with Jason Kelsey, who is out here now, by the way. I had a few conversations with him and met his wife, Kylie, wonderful young lady.
I got to tell you, we were all at the pool and we saw that happen yesterday. Our whole family was sitting out there. Jason and Kylie were across the other side of the pool, and Dad's, puttering around the pool, going there and soaking his feet. And we saw him go over there and walk and start talking to Kylie. And we're all holding our breath, wondering what the hell was going on.
That's why you don't think I can carry on a conversation? We had a wonderful, nice conversation.
It just I never know what you're going to bring up.
You guys, because my son is on this list. How can you not go with my son?
Oh, that's right, Henry.
Henry Nowak. Large excellence. I mean, look at that face.
What was the birth weight on this one? Because I need his bona fides in terms of the large nature.
Yeah, he was 9 pounds 6 ounces. That's a big baby.
Okay, all right.
Okay, hossed up.
That's that's
baby. Impressive.
Thank God for epidurals. Didn't feel a thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Henry's got a lot of time to win awards. I'd probably still lean toward Jason in this one. What a year between the play. We're going to walk into the Hall of Fame, the New Heights podcast with his brother, every outlet in the world and media world wanting him. I mean, it's his year.
Wow, I'm going with Henry. I don't know how you could sit there and look at Jesse and go against that.
Henry's got a lot of
Jason Kelsey here right now on the show? Like, just know your audience, okay?
Exactly. Play for the home team here.
Sorry,
all right,
Jesse.
We've got a bunch of awards that we're not going to get to over the course of the day, so I'm going to skip to the most important one here. All right. The best fast and fast casual food restaurant in the news of 2024. You had Wendy's surging pricing, Red Lobster's bankruptcy, Applebee's NFL sponsorship, Panera's supercharged lemonade, KFC's chicken parm pizza, and the McDonald's Starch Madness Award from our thing there. And also, I'll throw in the Kit Kat McFlurry and the Grandma's McFlurry that made my heart sing.
So, I mean, I would kill for the Kit Kat McFlurry. Without question. But I mean, Applebee's get with the NFL sponsorship. I mean, the biggest sport in the country, and they're sponsors for them now. I mean, that's a tough one to beat.
It pains me as a Chili's guy, and I know they're currently getting sued by the Beastie Boys. They might have actually used the wrong music at the right time. It's hard to ignore what went on for Applebee's there. So got to begrudgingly give that up for them. While they are not my favorite fast casual chain or food mentioned on this list by any means, they did have the best year, because once you score the bag with the NFL,
exactly right,
your life gets awfully different. So congratulations to many of the Golden Golic Award winners. We'll see if we've got any spillover candidates next here on the show.
Welcome back to GoJo and Golic. Jesse Cofield, the guys out at Lake Tahoe. Guys, Rookie of the Year battle heating up between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Let's take a look at how they've been doing recently here. So Clark went off in the Fever, lost to the Mystics. She had 29 points, 13 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, 3 blocks, 5 made threes. She's also setting records for turnovers. Meanwhile, Angel Reese secured her 15th straight double-double in the closing seconds when the Sky beat the Dream. Pretty unreal stuff. So, Rookie of the Year battle. These odds are really close here. And to add a little intrigue to the situation, okay, they're going to be teammates at the WNBA All-Star Game coming up on July 20th. Angel Reese made some comments. She was like, yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to be teammates. Hopefully we'll be Olympians together in 2028. So even though there are odds here, Caitlin Clark minus 750, Angel Reese plus 450 right now for Rookie of the Year. Those are their odds. So guys, who do we think has the edge? And the rivalry between these two has been made to be a lot in the media. So what do we think about Angel Reese being like, yeah, can't wait to be teammates and play together?
So I this is one of those things where, I mean, you go back to like Bird and Magic from the, their last years in school, Michigan State and Indiana State playing in the title. And these guys had really no love lost for one another. But what they had, and what I think here is there's respect for one another.
Sure.
Reese and Caitlin Clark respect each other's games. They're going to play hard. That's what you do. I mean, that's what sports is. For that time of the game, you're trying to kick the living crap out of your opponent. And then afterward, it's over and you respect what your opponent did. At least that's what you hope happens. I know it doesn't happen all the time. But I agree with her. I think they're going to be obviously teammates in the All-Star game. I definitely think they're going to be teammates in at least one Olympics, if not more. So I agree. I think that's what's great about sports. And that's something for a while, Mike, we've talked about in the NFL that we thought was missing was where was that rivalry? Because everybody kind of pals around with everybody now. Where were those really deep-seated, hated rivalries you didn't see as much? You were starting to see that, and it was actually getting like bad press, though any press is good press for, especially the WNBA as they're growing, where it's just like, and these women are just balling, okay? The veterans are treating rookies like how it usually happens. You're not going to come in and show us up. We're going to bang you around. There's going to be talk back and forth. And I get it, man. That's athletes competing. But I think deep down, and we hear it there's respect for one another in their games.
Well, I think there's also just an acknowledgement like, hey, we're going to be around each other a bunch. So whether or not we actually like each other, we better get used to each other. And so however it works out, it's incredible for the sport because the fact that comparison, the Bird Magic thing could even be remotely applicable here is great. It's a coup for it. And we've seen for all of the television games involving Caitlin Clark this year, they've been the highest raters. It's been some of the highest ratings we've ever seen this season. In terms of the Rookie of the Year race here, I thought this was interesting in terms of what we mentioned with Caitlin Clark. Now, yes, the turnovers have come there. I think a lot of that has been the growing pains for everybody on that team adjusting to her style of play, as well as Caitlin Clark making the adjustment to this level. But courtesy of StatMamba on Twitter a day ago, Caitlin Clark in the month of July, 20.3 points per game, 7.7 rebounds per game, 12.3 assists per game, 3.7 steals per game, steals plus blocks per game. Looking at it now, if she were to finish up this way, it would be the first 20.10 assist month in the history of the WNBA. So the fact that in a year where we started off the conversation talking about Caitlin Clark as someone who was coming into the league and was going to get humbled and was too small and her style of play might not go right away. And in the beginning, right? Got humbled a little bit early on, was getting roughed up. Talked about the way teams approached her defensively. Now the adjustment's been made. And so both of them have had stellar seasons, Angel Reese and the ongoing double-double streak that she was a part of there. I mean, again, when you're mentioned alongside Candace Parker in any level, it's great. But I do think Caitlin Clark is deservedly the leader in the clubhouse for the
I agree with that. And they're both right now in the playoffs to take 8. Chicago is 7. Indiana is 8. So obviously it would be even better for the league if both these teams made the playoffs and they continue to play in the postseason, even though at this point they would both be playing the top teams. But I'm with you. I mean, Caitlin Clark, I mean, it makes and I keep forgetting the young lady's name who said in the beginning, what does she have but threes? I mean, talk about, ice cold statement, coming back to haunt you a little bit. But understand Angel Reese as a rookie, 14 straight games with a double-double. As you mentioned, already broke Candace Parker's record. She is now setting her own, continuing to break her own record each time she does it, or extending it to a point of, who's next going to be able to do that? I mean, they're both doing first.
No, the most important thing here, though, is did you see the cake?
Yeah, the cake from the owner. Yeah.
So Chicago Sky owner Michael Alter gave Angel Reese a cake for breaking the WNBA record for most consecutive double-doubles. Well, you see, you have the proper response right now is you're excited because you're going, wow, the owner of a team, this young upstart player who's been an absolute revelation for the Chicago Sky this year, come out and put it on wax like that.
What a cake this had to be.
It was
beautiful.
Oh,
look at it.
Cake.
It is good. It's cute.
What the hell is that?
Do you want it to be bigger? Are you guys mad it's not bigger? It's not like a sheet cake.
Is that a picture of it in a box?
Yes.
That cake should have been so big and so decorated that you had to wheel it in, not bring it in a box. What the hell is that?
There's no flowers on it. The lettering is basically like, I don't know, is that Helvetica? Is that sans serif? The font right there?
It looks like they just found a plain white cake and they were like, quick, write on it really quick.
That, you know what? You might as well have not done anything, right? Would you rather them not do anything than look at that?
Some cake's better than no cake. All right.
But I guess the thought of it, I agree with Jesse. It's like we threw this together then. Oh my God, how about a cake? Again, that should have been sparklers on it, flowers on it, wheeled in.
I guess I just wanted something befitting the because you have a big personality, box office personality in Angel Reese on that team. I mean, hell, her nickname is Barbie. Like you couldn't have played into that at all. I mean, with any of that, couldn't
maybe
have
if she cuts into
colors.
It, there's just like wads of hundreds. And you cut into the cake.
Take that then. By the way, is that cake feeding the whole team?
Yeah, that's the other part here. It looked like she was wearing shoes. Like I looked like I saw hardwood. I thought you got that at practice.
It was like a personal cake. It looks like a personal cake.
Come on. Look at the effort she's giving for your team. And this is the owner's effort in congratulating her. Shame.
Well intended, ultimately poorly executed.
Without question, yeah.
Dad, a brief spinoff in this because I know you like big money numbers when they come out here. Speaking of the NBA counterpart here, did you see the news in terms of money inside a cake here, the NBA and the money inside their new broadcast?
I mean,
that they've got on the table right now. I know you're jacked up about this.
11 years, $76 billion. Do the math, gang. Do the math. I mean, it is stunning.
You do the math. I'm not going to.
It's about $7 billion a year. It is absolutely amazing. We talk about, as I said, professional athletes in football. We go through free agency and see the money that goes around, and NFL players puff their chest out a little bit, and then NBA free agency hits, and you see the money going around. But you have to understand the size of the roster in the NFL, $15 billion they make, the size of the roster in the NBA, and they're making $10 billion or more. I mean, there's just more money. What was the amount? It was per cap. The NFL averaged out to $4 million per player. Per cap in the NBA, it averages out to $9 million per player. The money is ridiculous. Good for per cap. Like cap number, what the cap number is in the NFL. If you
Okay.
divide it by the number of players,
I thought you were shorting per capita for a second. I was very confused. I thought this is the DJ
cap
Khaled
number
situation
divided
all
by
over again.
1,800. NFL players comes out to like 4 mil, and whatever the cap is for the NBA, divide that by the number of players, and it's 9 mil per player. It is stunning. We are going to have in a few years a player making $1 million a game.
We are, and I think the interesting part about this relative to the WNBA conversation we were having is this could be the start. You see the amount of money there. We recognize that the W probably not getting the fullest out of their television deal right now. That is going to change very soon here, and they will begin that trajectory that hopefully one day can have them in a similar ballpark in terms of some of the figures coming into that league. We'll finish things off here mercifully next on GoJo and Golic. All right, guys, time to finish off this show the way we always did. This, that, and the third. 3 quick stories to send you into the rest of the day. Make sure you download, subscribe, rate, review us. Leave us a 5-star rating and check us out here live Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern on the DraftKings Network, our YouTube channel, Samsung TV Plus, Roku, Xumo Play, DraftKingsNetwork.com. And if you miss us any of those places there, the best of GoJo and Golic appears noon to 1 p.m. Eastern wherever you hear VSiN on the radio. And if you miss us there or any of our great guests, shout out to ESPN college football writer and reporter Heather Dinich for joining us earlier today to talk about some of the upcoming conference media days. You can get that wherever you get your podcast or right here as soon as we get done on YouTube. As soon as we get done, Dad, do you know what the preparation process is going to be for you? Getting ready to go golf today? What are your plans?
Really try and get this rib right. You know, the rib is really kind of hurting right now in the swing. So no, I will not use the rib as an excuse at all. I tee off in a couple of hours for 3 days of trying to be the most improved player. That's my whole goal.
Well, you fueled your body, right, with chocolate muffins just now?
Yeah, chocolate muffins and coffee. I think that's the proper fuel. I don't know that I'd like to hear any nutritionist argument against that. I mean, seriously. I mean, for the
there's
champ, I
plenty.
can't think of anything better right now to hold me through a round. Yeah.
Nope. You're going to be ready to go. You're properly fueled.
Yeah.
I'm excited to crack my first beer about 5 minutes after the show gets done and get ready to be the best, most supportive fan that I can be. Let's get to this and kickstart the party, guys. The article came out in Life and Style magazine yesterday. The Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift are apparently spending $100,000 daily on their romance, according to sources at Life and Style. Now, they documented the fact that, listen, both of them over the course of what's been sort of a long distance relationship, flying back and forth between concerts, between the games last year, the lavish gifts that both have bestowed upon each other, private jets full of all of Travis's favorite food and beverages. Dad, this is kind of what you'd expect. And to me, such a non-story because it's all relative to your income. Someone did the article the other day about what the relative dollar is for Taylor Swift or with her wealth. And none of this registers on the Richter scale for them. Good for them.
Hey, you know when they say money can't buy happiness? These two seem pretty happy right now.
They do. They seem very
It
happy.
can buy you a PJ filled with your favorite food, which sounds like happiness to me.
By the way, the PJ full of Joe's Kansas City barbecue, seafood Alfredo, and Coca-Cola. That private jet must have an awesome bathroom because
it's true.
I don't know like the normal equipment of some of those would be able to handle the things that could potentially happen on a transcontinental private flight where you've got that variety of food in your belly.
I completely agree with that. And let's be honest, when they say $100,000 a day to get, most of that averaging out is the private jet. I mean, that's what it is. But the one that gets me is they have over 20 bodyguards that get paid $1,000 a day.
That feels like one of those where it's like 19 for Taylor and one for Travis.
Without a doubt. Or all for Taylor, and Travis just gets kind of...
They're actually counting Travis as one of the bodyguards.
That's exactly right.
That is true. That was one of the great early relationship points where Travis is like, I got this, and told her bodyguard that he could take the back seat for the day.
Because God knows some of her other boyfriends,
oh, they're not defending it.
They'd be running, know, exactly. So this is amazing. And more power to them. Do their thing. I know people are going to say, oh, they're wasting money. We know that she gives a ton of money. He has charities as well.
It's one of those things that people are always going to pry into their lives. And that's sort of the big step up that's happened, especially for Travis over the last year. So excited for them. I would one day like to find myself in a plane full of barbecue. A boy can certainly dream, but we'll wait and see about that.
Your first line walking into the plane would be, does your bathroom work?
I'm just saying, man. Like I don't know.
It's a PJ.
Pooping.
Will this be bad for a tour bus? Because we've heard our buddy Jason Fitz say you don't go number 2 on a tour bus.
Listen, like quite honestly, out of respect for my fellow passengers, I don't like going poop on like commercial planes all that much because I feel like you put everyone else through a lot with that.
Yeah.
Like a Kansas City barbecue experience version of that wouldn't be fit for a commercial flight, let alone for a private flight that I'd imagine is much smaller and more confined.
Well, it depends on how many people are on the plane, right? If he's the only one.
You tell me.
If he's the only one, or for the really good friends, and you don't care, right?
I think we got different friends here. Either way, let's get into that. Speaking of the bonds of friendship, Jesse, usually cemented over a McFlurry, and McDonald's keeps innovating.
Yeah, when I read this, I was like, did they bring in GoJo to just create products at McDonald's?
They should.
Because the Kit Kat Banana Split McFlurry has been created, okay? Which this is, you're on your Kit Kat vibe right now from Japan. Like, this is just crazy. So it's made with a base of vanilla soft serve. It's blended with real banana, strawberry, plus chocolatey crunchy pieces of Kit Kat wafer bars in every bite. This sounds incredible, right? The only question is, are you going to be able to get this? Like, are they going to go fix all the McFlurry machines at McDonald's? Because notoriously, the McFlurry machines don't work.
You're so right about that. And you're right about Mike. Mike brought so many varieties of Kit Kat back. We have them in our room here from Japan, but this is right up your alley. This, when Jesse was saying the only question for me is how many of these would I eat?
Mm-hmm.
Man, after the grandma's McFlurry at McDonald's, I really have a renewed respect for a product that I already enjoyed. This one was tweeting about the other day is going to be incredible. And I will say, at least for around here, because I'm focused on the here and the now. Last time we were out here at Lake Tahoe, I ended up making a late night trip to McDonald's with a couple of friends. Ice cream machine worked, but the problem was the AC had gone out there. And so everything was just melty. So the ice cream machine got it out there, but it basically became ice cream soup. And a lot of people like that soupy stuff at the bottom of their ice cream bowl or at the bottom of a milkshake. I don't. I like my stuff cold. Call me old-fashioned. If I'm served ice cream, I want to be served ice cream and not sugar and milk soup.
Why do their ice cream machines break so much? I don't understand that.
One of life's greatest mysteries,
It's an age-old question.
It blows my mind.
Yeah,
by the way, guys,
the
closest McDonald's to you is just a 15-minute drive. So we looked it up.
I've been there, and I will find my way there.
You'll DoorDash something.
Look at you.
Well, no, but like DoorDashing something over the 15 minutes, all of a sudden it could that's where the melting comes into play. I don't trust DoorDash or any food delivery service with
ice. Yeah, I agree with that.
So I am a man of principle, and if I'm going to do that, I'm going to hump it out there on foot, and I'm going to make it happen myself. Jesse, let's finish this off with a third in a real guys being dudes moment.
Yeah, so a guy got a girl's phone number, so he thought, at a bar. Every girl who's watching this knows what that's like. You don't really want to give out your phone number. Somebody's asking for it. Maybe she switched a digit. She gave a wrong number. Anyway, the guy goes ahead. He sends the text trying to figure out, like, hey, what's up? Should we get together? And the guy's like, he's like, hey, this is Jerome. Who's this? Shorty probably gave me the wrong number. And the guy goes, I think she did. He goes, is this a man? Yeah, it is. And then immediately into Sixers convo. So look at this conversation, man. It's like he didn't get the girl's number right. It's not going to work out with her because this is a fake number, but he gained a friend.
So I want to ask you this, Jesse, because I'm not going to say this on my own and incur the wrath of the female gender. Yes. I've said I am this way, and I said this about guys. Guys are an inch deep and a mile wide. We guys would move on from this, right? You tell me, reverse the situation. Okay, if a guy gave a girl a wrong number and this happened, what would happen on the female side of this, Jesse? What would the conversation be?
Immediate mentee B, full mentee B, absolutely delulu. Like I took the number down wrong. Like you'd have to call all your girlfriends to come over. Have to have a little conversation. We might need some sage. You got to sage the demons out. Just complete mentee B, probably go on like a month-long bender. Just completely lose my mind.
Big fan of mentee B.
Mentee B.
Because of that, when I was coming back from Japan, I don't know if you guys heard, I took a trip. Yeah. And needed some help with the sleep. I got some melatonin, which I have taken to calling Melly T. So I feel like that's the next great wave of abbreviations there. I don't know. I feel like the energy of like women's bathrooms at bars are so positive and so fun that if a woman made a new friend like this, like if you happen to get another lady's number and it was in this situation, you can hype each other up, make each other feel good, and then probably have some good plans by the end of the day. I want to give the ladies out there credit, just like these guys who watched Jared McCain go crazy in the Sixers game in the preseason, able to bond when things don't go your way. When things don't go your way, we want you to know you can turn to us to talk about Jared McCain going crazy. If you agree, download, subscribe, rate, and review our show. Leave us a 5-star rating. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys on Monday.
My rib hurts.